Have you noticed how your grocery bill keeps climbing higher, even though your basket seems to get smaller each time you shop? You're not the only one. Prices are rising everywhere, and it's becoming harder to keep up. But here's something most people don't realize. The secret to lowering that bill isn't hiding in the supermarket. It's right outside your door. Hey Green family, welcome back. And if you're new here, I'm so glad you stopped by. This is the place where we turn tiny spaces, limited budgets, and big dreams into thriving gardens. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, because today, I'm showing you 10 crops that can seriously slash your grocery costs. And some of these, you've probably never even thought of growing before. Oh, and before we dig in, I'm curious, where are you watching from today? Drop your country or state below. I love seeing how many gardens this little family stretches across. You know, when I first started gardening, I wasn't thinking about saving money. I just wanted to grow a few things for fun. But one summer, I planted a small row of tomatoes, and they went wild, so much that I couldn't eat them all. I shared some with neighbors, froze the rest, and that's when it hit me. Every fruit, every leaf, every little harvest was one less thing I had to buy at the store. It wasn't just about gardening anymore. It was about creating something that actually gave back. That's why today's list isn't just another grow-your-own-food guide. These are crops that truly stretch your budget. Plants that keep producing, cost next to nothing to maintain, and make a real difference in your grocery bill. Let's start with one that's small, simple, and pays for itself almost instantly. Crop 1. Green onions. Regrow, don't rebuy. Let's start with one of the easiest crops you can grow, green onions. They're simple, fast, and one of those plants that quietly pay you back every single week. You only need to buy them once. After that, they'll keep giving. Here's how it works. After using the green tops in your meals, don't throw away the white roots. Instead, place them upright in a small glass of clean water, just enough to cover the roots, and set it near a sunny window. Within a few days, you'll see new green shoots sprouting, almost like they're waking back up. Once they're a few inches tall, move them into a small pot or garden bed. They love well-draining soil and steady moisture, so keep the soil slightly damp but not soaked. From there, you can harvest the greens as often as you like. Snip off what you need, and they'll grow right back, ready for your next dish. The beauty of green onions is how little space they need. You can grow them on a windowsill, balcony, or even reuse old containers. And because they regrow so quickly, you'll never have to buy another bundle again. Think about it. Each small bunch at the store might cost a few hundred naira or a few dollars, but when you're regrowing them, that's money staying in your pocket week after week. It's the kind of small, consistent saving that adds up over time. A simple step, but a real shift towards self-reliance. Crop 2. Sweet potatoes, the 2-in-1 crop. Now, this next one is a real gem because it gives you 2 harvests for the price of 1. Sweet potatoes. They're hearty, nutritious, and incredibly generous once they get going. Most people grow sweet potatoes just for the tubers underground, but what many don't realize is that the leaves are just as valuable. They're packed with nutrients and can be cooked just like spinach or pumpkin leaves. That means while you're waiting for the roots to mature, you can still harvest fresh greens from the same plant. To get started, you don't need to buy anything fancy. Take a healthy sweet potato from your kitchen, preferably one that's already starting to sprout. Cut it in half and place it halfway into a jar of water with the cut side down. In about a week, you'll see new shoots, called slips, growing from the top. Once those slips are about 6 inches long, gently twist them off and place them in water until they form roots. Then transfer them into soil. Sweet potatoes love loose, sandy soil and plenty of sunlight. Give them a little space to spread out, and in a few months, you'll have both leafy greens and delicious tubers ready for harvest. The best part? Once you've grown your first batch, you'll never need to buy new ones again. Just keep a few healthy tubers for replanting, and the cycle continues season after season. It's one of those crops that quietly teaches patience and reward. The more love you give it, the more it gives back. Crop 3. Herbs that cost a fortune, but grow like weeds. Let's be honest, fresh herbs are some of the most overpriced things in the grocery store. You pay so much for a tiny bunch that dries out in a few days. But here's the good news. The very same herbs that empty your wallet in the store are some of the easiest plants to grow at home. Basil, mint, parsley, rosemary, thyme. These herbs don't ask for much. Just sunlight, a bit of space, and regular trimming. In fact, the more you harvest them, the more they grow. Start with a few seeds or small cuttings from a friend's garden. Place them in pots with well-draining soil and keep them somewhere sunny, like a balcony, kitchen window, or doorstep. Water them just enough to keep the soil slightly moist, not soggy. In a few weeks, you'll have fresh herbs you can cut as you need them. One of the best things about growing herbs is how versatile they are. You can use them in cooking, teas, oils, and even natural remedies. And when you have more than you can use, simply dry or freeze them. Dried herbs keep their flavor for months, meaning one small plant can replace dozens of store-bought packs. That's steady savings right there. And the flavor difference? Night and day. Once you've cooked with homegrown basil or mint, it's hard to go back to store-bought. Crop 4. Tomatoes, the real money saver. Now, if there's one crop that truly gives you more value than almost anything you can buy, it's tomatoes. Think about it. Tomatoes show up in almost every meal. From sauces to stews, soups to salads. It's one ingredient that never stays out of the kitchen. So why keep buying it when you can grow it yourself and get more flavor for far less money? Tomatoes are surprisingly easy to grow, even if you don't have much space. You can start with store-bought tomatoes, scoop out a few seeds, dry them for a day or two, and plant them in small containers filled with rich, loose soil. Keep the soil moist and place them somewhere warm and sunny. In about a week, you'll see tiny seedlings popping up. Once the plants are strong enough, move them into a bigger container or straight into your garden bed. Give them something to climb, like a stick or a simple cage, so they stay upright as they start producing fruit. Tomatoes love sunlight, consistent watering, and a little feeding now and then. If you take care of them, they'll reward you with baskets of fruit for months. And here's where it gets better. Unlike store-bought tomatoes that lose flavor in transit, homegrown ones are rich, juicy, and taste exactly how tomatoes should taste. With just a few plants, you can make fresh sauces, stews, or even sun-dry your extras for later use. And if you save the seeds from your best fruit, you'll never have to buy tomato seeds again. Crop 5. Peppers, especially the hot ones. Peppers are one of those crops that quietly save you more money than you realize. Whether it's bell peppers for your cooking or hot peppers for your stews, a few healthy plants can supply more than enough for your kitchen, and maybe even a little extra to share. The thing about peppers is that they can be pricey in stores, especially when they're out of season. But growing them at home doesn't just cut costs, it gives you fresh flavor all year round. Start with seeds or healthy seedlings. If you're saving seeds from store-bought peppers, make sure they're from a mature, ripe fruit. Plant them in small pots or nursery trays, about ½ an inch deep, and keep the soil moist. They love warmth, so keep them somewhere bright and cozy until they sprout. Once the seedlings are a few inches tall, move them into larger containers or your garden bed. Peppers thrive in full sunlight and well-draining soil. Give them steady watering, never too much, never too little, and watch them take off. Here's the fun part. One pepper plant can produce for months. Hot pepper varieties, especially, just keep going. A single plant can give you dozens of fruits, and if you dry or preserve them, you'll have enough to last through the entire year. And for those who love bell peppers, growing your own means you can harvest them at any stage, green, yellow, or red, depending on your taste. That's the kind of flexibility you never get from store shelves. Crop 6. Spinach or kale, year-round greens. Now, let's talk about greens, the kind that keep your kitchen stocked and your body healthy all year long. Spinach and kale are two of the most rewarding crops you can grow, especially if you're serious about saving money and eating fresh. A single bag of greens from the store barely lasts a few days, and most of the time, it's already losing its freshness by the time you open it. But when you grow your own spinach or kale, you get to harvest exactly what you need, whenever you need it. Fresh, crisp, and full of flavor. Both of these crops are incredibly easy to grow. You can plant them directly in the soil or in containers if you don't have much space. Sprinkle the seeds lightly, cover them with a thin layer of soil, and keep the area moist until they sprout. They love cooler temperatures, but with a bit of shade and regular watering, you can grow them almost year-round. One of the best things about spinach and kale is how long they keep producing. Instead of pulling up the whole plant, just cut the outer leaves as you need them. The plant will continue to grow new leaves from the center, giving you a steady supply week after week. And beyond saving money, growing your own greens means you skip the chemicals, the preservatives, and all that packaging waste. You know exactly what you're eating, and that's priceless. Crop 7. Beans, nature's protein factory. If there's one crop that truly gives you more than you put in, it's beans. They're simple, fast-growing, and packed with protein, making them one of the smartest crops you can grow to cut your grocery costs. Whether you go for green beans, black beans, or cowpeas, they all have one thing in common. They feed both you and your soil. Beans belong to a special plant family that naturally adds nitrogen back into the soil. That means every time you grow beans, you're improving the ground for your next crops without spending extra on fertilizer. You can plant beans directly in the soil once the weather is warm enough. They don't need rich soil or complicated care, just sunlight, a little space, and regular watering. If you're short on room, go for climbing or pole beans. They grow vertically, producing more in less space, and all you need is a stick, trellis, or even an old fence for support. Within a few weeks, you'll see bright green vines reaching upward and tiny flowers turning into pods. Harvest them young for tender green beans, or wait a little longer for dried beans you can store for months. Either way, you'll be saving money while growing your own protein source. And there's something deeply satisfying about harvesting a crop that keeps giving, nourishing your garden, your meals, and your wallet all at once. Crop 8. Garlic, the hidden gem. Garlic might look simple, but it's one of those crops that quietly save you money and effort once you start growing it yourself. It's affordable, low maintenance, and something most kitchens use almost every single day. The beauty of garlic is that you don't need much to get started. One bulb can turn into 10 or more new ones, and the process couldn't be easier. Take a healthy, full garlic bulb and separate it into individual cloves. Choose the largest ones, because they'll produce the strongest bulbs. Plant each clove a few inches apart, pointed side up, and cover them with soil. Garlic loves sunlight and soil that drains well. Once planted, it doesn't demand much, just occasional watering and patience. Over the months, the cloves underground slowly develop into full bulbs. When the leaves start to yellow and dry up, that's your cue that they're ready for harvest. And here's a bonus many people overlook. Garlic also acts as a natural pest repellent. Its strong scent helps keep harmful insects away from nearby plants, so you're saving money on both food and pest control. After harvesting, let your bulbs dry in a cool, airy spot for about a week. Once they're cured, you can store them for months without losing flavor or quality. It's the kind of crop that rewards you quietly and consistently, season after season. Crop 9. Cucumbers, endless snacks and pickles. Now, if you love fresh, crunchy vegetables, cucumbers are one crop you'll want to make space for. They grow fast, they produce plenty, and they're one of the most refreshing ways to stretch your grocery budget during the warmer months. Cucumbers thrive in sunlight and warmth, and they don't take long to reward you once they start. You can plant them directly into the soil or in large containers if you're short on space. Just make sure the soil is loose, rich, and drains well. As the vines begin to spread, give them something to climb. A simple trellis, wire mesh, or even an old stick will do. Keeping them off the ground helps the fruits grow straighter and cleaner, and it makes harvesting much easier. 1 or 2 healthy plants can supply you with more cucumbers than you might expect. You can enjoy them fresh in salads, blend them into smoothies, or even pickle them for later use. Homemade pickles store well for months, and they taste far better than anything you'll find on a supermarket shelf. Cucumbers are also made up mostly of water, which means they're great for hydration, especially in hot weather. So not only are you saving money, but you're also growing something that keeps you cool and nourished at the same time. Crop 10. Lettuce, the quickest win for beginners. If you're new to gardening, or you just want something that grows fast and delivers quick results, lettuce is your crop. It's simple, forgiving, and one of the easiest ways to start saving money right away. In stores, a small bag of lettuce costs more than it should, and most of the time, it barely lasts a few days before it starts to wilt. But when you grow your own, you can harvest exactly what you need, fresh and crisp, every time. Lettuce doesn't need deep soil or fancy tools. Scatter the seeds lightly across moist soil, cover them gently, and keep the surface damp until they sprout. They grow well in containers, garden beds, or even recycled trays. Just make sure they get a few hours of sunlight each day. In as little as 3 to 4 weeks, you'll have fresh, tender leaves ready to pick. And here's the beauty of it. You don't need to pull the whole plant out. Simply trim the outer leaves and let the center keep growing. This way, you get a steady supply of greens that can last for months. Lettuce is also incredibly versatile. You can mix different varieties, like romaine, butterhead, and loose leaf, to add texture and flavor to your meals. It's a perfect example of how small, consistent harvests can quietly cut your grocery costs week after week. Pro tip: for an endless harvest, plant new seeds every 2 weeks. This simple rotation keeps fresh lettuce coming even as older plants slow down. And if you're growing in a warm area, give them a bit of shade during the hottest part of the day. It keeps the leaves soft and prevents them from turning bitter. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these crops would you start with first? Or maybe you're already growing some of them. Tell me in the comments. I always enjoy reading your garden stories and seeing how creative this community can be. And if you're thinking, I don't even have space, don't worry. Most of these crops grow beautifully in containers. A balcony, a sunny windowsill, or even an old recycled bucket is more than enough to get started. Think about it. With just a few seeds, you can start saving money, eating fresher, and feeling a little more connected to what's on your plate. That's the power of growing your own food. Every seed you plant is more than just food. It's a quiet investment in your health, your budget, and your peace of mind. Watching something you grew with your own hands end up on your plate, that's a kind of satisfaction no store can sell. If you found this helpful, don't just click away, stick around. Subscribe to Green Family so you don't miss out on more simple, smart ways to grow your own fresh food and save money while doing it. Till next time, keep your hands in the soil and your garden growing strong.